topic, so I was nervous after a very long time. Um, guys, can you hear me right? You can hear me right? I'm keeping on talking. So please interrupt me if there is any problem with anything. Can anyone confirm if you can hear me? Because I did not check. I started talking and presenting my screen. Inisha, Samantha ma'am, can you confirm if you can hear me and if you can see my screen? Or
Yes,
anyone in
sir,
the
we can
chat, can
hear
you
you.
message?
Yes,
Okay,
sir,
cool,
it's
cool.
visible.
Yeah, you can also message in the chat. I've kept it open in another screen to check for your questions. So I want in the Menti, try to enter the topics that you want to learn about. We'll see how it goes. But what I have done and what will be my focus today is my aim is to be simple, clear, interactive, and be useful to you guys. That's the motto. And I'm sure that's why I mentioned that it's not going to happen with one session. There's going to be follow up. I'll plan for follow-up sessions. I'll propose based on your requirements. And also, I have prepared a storyline. I have a presentation. I have a few material what to talk about. But if you want to talk about any specific subtopic inside what I'm going to present, or if it's not going to help you, you have to stop me and tell, no, let's talk about the other thing. I'll be able to help you out. I'll be able to talk about it. If I'm not able to talk about it, at least I'll be able to get you some help through my colleagues or friends or from even from our alumni network. Yeah, please be interactive through chat. I know you guys are participating through phone, and if you are too shy from switching on the mic, please use the chat. So let's try to keep it interactive. Okay. And lately today morning, my friend Murali confirmed that one of the perspective that you guys are looking for is to what is the difference in industry standards and what actually it is. To be honest, there is a lot of difference in what we experience in college in placement than what is actually happening in industry. So I'll try to share few of my experiences too, because like you guys, I graduated from National Engineering College, and I attended a lot of interviews, so I can share my experience what worked out for me, and it can be an idea, or it can give you a spark of idea of how it can work out for you. Okay, so with that in mind, I'll also go towards the Menti. I can full stack, learn new things, cloud. Okay, I don't have any specific topics mentioned over here, so I'll move on to the next slide in Menti. So in Menti, you'll have a next slide, but I'll already start with the presentation in my main screen. Okay, so if you have any questions, you can post it in the Menti screen now. I'll keep proceeding. So what are we going to see today? Reality of work in IT. So when just a moment, I want to. Okay. Okay, so I'm starting. So guys, what happened? What happens is we don't really know, or how many of you know how it is to join an IT company and start working, no matter if it's a product company or any company. I'm assuming that all the colleagues are from IT, and I'm also assuming that um, this is going to be the pattern with any kind of enterprise or an organization. Even if you take any electronics or any mechanical engineering oriented company. So this is what will happen as soon as you graduate or you get your placement or you find your company after placement. If it doesn't work out, when you join a company, do anyone of you know, or do anyone, can anyone share what are your expectations? So this is my next slide. So what is your expectation or imagination of work when you join an IT organization? Can you write it in chat? I mean, it's. I'll try to keep it purely fun. I know you are here after a heavy lunch, so I'll try to keep it minimal and I'll not try to overload you with information. So if you have anything specific or any expectations that you already have as an assumption, you can type it in the chat window. But I'll go ahead because we are limited in time. So as soon as you join an IT organization, what happens is uh, you get into a project. Okay, so when you get into a project, in every company these projects will have phases. So either it will be in the ideation phase where they'll try to build the idea, or they'll be in the implementation phase, or they would have implemented it already and they'll be in the maintenance phase. These are the three phases you will find yourself in, no matter what company you go, no matter which kind of product you work in. These are the three different phases that you will be placed in. Like no matter what project it is, even if it is, if you're joining Flipkart, even if you're joining Zoho, even if you're joining, what's say, Turin or some other company, or even AI based or full stack or whatever company it is, they'll be working on something. They'll either ideate it or implement it or maintain it. So these are the only phases that you will find yourself in, and depending upon where your project is, the life cycle of your project is in currently, you will have opportunities accordingly. So this is what you should really expect when you think about joining an organization. So this is what it is really like. So if you see here, when it comes to design and ideation, you have opportunities to do R&D, POC, and market study. Yeah. And when it comes to implementation is where the actual development, test, and release will happen. And when it comes to maintenance, you will try to release updates or migration or upgrades. So for example, if you take your WhatsApp application, it's implemented long ago. It's currently in maintenance phase, if you ask me. And even in maintenance phase, they try to do some R&D and they try to implement some new features. So this is the cycle. This is the vicious cycle you will always be in. As you grow higher up in the career, you will be able to specialize on few things and sit on one particular zone. You will be able to either sit on the R&D, or you'll be able to sit only in the implementation or in the maintenance phase. So that's how your career path may build after you exit the college. So this was some information that was not there when not there in sense no one was has shared it with us before when we joined an IT organization. So this is what you should expect, and there is nothing to talk on top of it. And if you see below, I had noted 2 points, and this is what you call it as continuous development and continuous integration too. Though it's a DevOps terminology, it's not DevOps, but this is where every project lifecycle will be. There may be one or two additions that this is the basic template every organization will follow. Okay, and as soon as you join, you will have 6 to 8 months of incubation period where you will be learning the custom stack. So let's say that you are gaining expertise in Java technologies. It's not necessary that you will be put up in Java technologies. The product might be already using .NET, so you will be again incubated for 6 to 8 months to gain your expertise or fill in the gap that you have with understanding of the current technologies that they are using. So this is how every organization works. Keeping aside few organizations, because few organizations are specific in what they want, they'll hire who they want. On those organizations, if you are hired for specific technology, you will work on the same technology. But current market trend is you are expected to work flexibly in anything. So they have the saying, so when you learn a programming language, it's like learning the alphabets, and when you start learning other programming languages, it's like reading other subject textbooks. So if you know English, you can read multiple books about it. So all the other programming languages becomes a different book altogether. So you are just learning the alphabets during the course of your college lifetime. So this is something that I wanted to implant in your mind. If you guys have any questions or any doubts in terms of this, now's the time. Feel free to chat, or else I'll keep moving to the next slide. So another point, why IT landscape? That's a huge topic. That's an excuse for myself because I did not know what would benefit you guys. So that's why I had given a broader topic. But when it comes to IT landscape, um, recently in the past 10 to 20 interviews that I have taken, I find ourselves short in a particular way. So I have interviewed many friends who want to do a specific thing only. Like they want to only do development, they want to do only testing, and these are the ideas that are valid, or that were valid 10 years ago. Now times have changed. So you cannot have this mindset that you'll do only development or do only testing. So it's good to understand the complete landscape. And if you ask me, uh, every particular technology has something called as a saturation point. So if you take Java or if you have .NET, you cannot keep learn. You can keep learning about it, but you cannot use those technologies to its fullest potent. You can only build some knowledge on top of it. It's called saturation point. So once you are saturated in it, you can explore the other areas available in the IT landscape. So nowadays it's essential to be king of one and jack of all trades. This is something that I've realized hard time. I'll repeat, it's like king of one. You master one particular thing and you apply all the understandings to other things, and you become jack of all the other technologies. So it's necessary that as uh, as a student or as a fresher, when you are entering the IT landscape, you have already entered the IT landscape. So I heard that second year students are there now. So now you will be uh, you will be introduced into IT oriented topics compared to first year syllabus. So you are already introduced into the IT landscape, I would say. So try to understand. So for friends who are getting into IT currently, I don't know which semester you folks are in, but you it's better to make yourself aware on what are the different areas that are there, so that you focus on one, and you also know that this is not the only area that you should be, and it's very essential for a full stack developer. And that's how I want to link the landscape with full stack development. In my personal experience, if you ask me, I started as a front end Java developer, but you keep trying to learn what else is there. So I'll come to this point later. This is also something that's missing, but I do not want to break the course. So try to understand the complete landscape, what else is there, because as a full stack developer, you are expected, if your focus is on full stack, and if you're passionate about full stack, as a full stack developer, your ultimate goal should be establishing yourself in all the different areas that IT landscape offers. So this is where you will find. So we'll keep moving, folks. So what I have mentioned over here is, it's just a reference slide. I guess I have already spoken about what are the different phases, but let's skip the top diagram and let's focus on the 4 points that are below. See, as an engineer, even when you're studying, you'll have certain favorite subjects, and you'll also have certain things that are trending in market, right? So try to build, I'll call it the engineer's toolkit. I have my own toolkit. So when Samantha ma'am introduced me, she mentioned there are certain technologies that I have worked on, so that defines my engineer's toolkit. So that's my toolkit. If you bring me a problem, I'll try to solve with the tools that I have in my toolkit. So in a similar way, you have to start building your toolkit, and now is the time. Like there is no specific time that only after you start working you have to start building. You start building it even now. I realized it later, but I have been building it since my second year too. Like since by being in electronics, I can give you an example. I was always good in microprocessor programming, so that became part of my toolkit. So I took that microprocessor programming, and I took it somewhere. So that's what it is about. So try to identify your strengths, your favorite topics, and market trends. It's not always essential that your favorite topic should be a market trend. So don't try to confuse those things. Try to build your toolkit, I would say, and this toolkit will always help you and travel with you until you retire, I would say, or even after you retire. So in an IT organization, when you join a project, these are the 4 questions that you'll always have. What is the problem that you're going to solve? How are you going to solve it? What are the tools that you're going to use to solve it? And when to choose what tool? Because as you know, full stack is completely expanding, and every day there is a new front end framework or a back end framework that's coming. There is no specific thing as this is the best one for this. This is the best one, and that is the best one. You always will be in a situation where you will have to choose something depending on what are the different situations that are around you. Those things will not focus because that will become too complicated. But remember this, even now, you can start thinking in this way. I'm also planning to give you certain project ideas in the future, maybe, but this is where you start. This is how you start thinking. Which problem are you going to solve? How are you going to solve it? What tools you will use, and when to use what tool? So that's what engineering and engineers are all about. This is what we want to do. This is what we'll do our entire lifespan. So I realized it at a very later time, because uh, so I'm putting it in front of you guys. It may not relate to you guys, but at some point you may realize or think that these are the four things where your life is revolving around. So this is how your life at IT would be getting into the landscape. But if you go more towards full stack development, I want to focus more on full stack and cloud, because I want to know what is your understanding of full stack, because I would like to share more, but not in this session, but in the upcoming sessions. I would want to know more about what your understanding is, what your needs are. Only then I'll be able to, specifically target those topics to help you out. So enter full stack. We spoke about projects, how your work is going to be when you enter an IT or a different organization, because I found it missing when I was in your place. So if it's a valid information, take it. If it's not, just keep it aside. It might make sense at a later point. But now let's dive little bit inside full stack. What is full stack, guys? Can anyone? I mean, there is no right or wrong answer here. I want to know what's your opinion about full stack. Why full stack? What do you mean by mentioning or saying the word full stack? Can anyone?
Sir,
Yeah. Yeah, Alex.
a person who expertise in front end and back end technology
Okay,
is called
fair.
full stack.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Nice answer. Thanks, Alex. Anyone else? Or is it the same? Everyone that is going to agree with? You can use the chat too, if you do not want to unmute yourself. I've kept everything open in the other window. So that's a very good answer, because that's what full stack is about. Okay, guys. Then I'll take that as everyone's answer. It's safe to assume. So if you have any other opinion on this, then please feel free to write on the chat, because the more the discussions, the more clarity that you will get on this. So, Alex, you were absolutely right when you told that full stack is about front end and back end. But as a starting point, I would say the market has evolved a lot. I can give you a glimpse of what full stack is about when it comes to the actual market. Okay, then we'll talk about specific topics if you want. Let me dive into the next slide. Just a minute. Okay, okay, I had this animation. It's messed up, so don't mind it. Don't ignore the top bar. Ignore the top bar. Let's talk about just front end. So, like Alex mentioned, it's just front end. So you have multiple frameworks that you can write front end in. So if you see, for me, full stack is the latest word or the trendy word for normal web application development that has been happening for years, if you ask me. Just that there are new frameworks and there are new ways of efficiently creating different kinds of applications. Okay, so for me, it's just pure development, pure web application development. I wouldn't agree that, because even as a developer, you will develop on multiple scenarios. So let's see what it is. In front end, if you can see my screen, you have a lot of technology starting from the legacy, the old HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Now we also have the ES6 engine, probably latest as well. I've not used anything apart from this, so I've noted few popular ones. Okay, PHP, JSP, JSF, all these are part of different frameworks, but these are the front end templating languages or the other kind of languages that you'll use to create a front end. Uh, of course, Angular, Vue, React approach front end in a different way, but with the point one, with HTML, CSS, JavaScript, jQuery, and JSP, you can build similar applications that you are able to build in Angular, Vue, and React as well. So I'll group them into front end. And I've taken the normal three-tier architecture. So I hope you're all familiar with normal three-tier architecture, uh, the front end, middle end, and the back end. So this is how the landscape looks, or at least with what Alex mentioned. This is what I assume that you think that full stack is about. Um, which you are absolutely right, which you are 70% right. But there are also these missing pieces that may pop up at a later point. So you have, for the middle end, we'll see you may have a JVM based framework or a server side JavaScript framework like Node or Nest. You may have .NET runtime based or any compiler based like Golang or C or C++. And you also have frameworks like J2EE, Spring, and this is what I mentioned. So middle end is basically the layer that's going to help you get things done. For the front end, you have specific frameworks, and for the back end, these are the standard ones. You have multiple RDBMS, NoSQL, and stuff like that. Uh, so this is three-tier architecture. But do you want to know anything specific about these guys? Do you have before I proceed? This is a simple three-tier architecture, and I have listed few technologies. Uh, do you have any specific doubts or questions or ideas even? It never rule out your idea, because you may be in a better position to understand things than me at times, because you have a lot of time to, or you have a different mind, you have a fresh mind to looking at things. So probably my view at it may be different. So that's why the slide is like this. But if you have anything specific or an idea, please bring it up at this point. This may spark a lot of good discussions at this moment. Any questions, guys? Uh, so, so the previous comment that Alex made is a full stack developer is someone who focuses on front end and middle end. Absolutely right. These are the different frameworks used in the front end, middle end, and back end. I listed them out. Do you have any doubts, like why front full stack, or why front end, or why what, how, when, whatever it is? If you have any questions, you can also use the Menti to post it. I cannot see any questions in the Menti nor in the chat. Okay, okay. So I'll keep proceeding, but don't never mind to drop a question whenever you want to. I'll be very happy to stop and discuss, because these slides are my storyline. I don't want to present my storyline. I want to be as helpful for you guys, or as informative as you guys want. If you want to avoid cloud discussion, we can avoid cloud discussion and talk completely about full stack. That's what I'm trying to tell. So please feel free to stop me. I'll not mind at all. I'll keep proceeding. I have few more things to show on the slide. So what happens now is, this is a simple three-tier application, like we all know. But it also matters that there may be few use cases that might pop up. So these are requirement oriented. We'll not go into why this came and what it is, but a powerful front end application. Let's take Netflix for example, or maybe, yeah, Netflix could be a good use case. So if you see Netflix, the major use case is streaming. So it is also a full stack application. Yeah. So but it needs certain other tools to work the way it is working currently. One, I know I have not included streaming here, but if you see here, searching, you need indexing, because when you search a normal database, it's very slow. You need indexing of data. Probably you might have already known it, or you may learn it in the future. So let's keep it at that point. Indexing is like storing minimal information in JSON format, so that you can retrieve it at as fast as possible. So this major use case is search and reporting analytics. Yeah. So when it comes to indexing, certain databases offer indexing automatically, but you can also have a third-party tool installed like Elasticsearch or Solar Search Engine. So they are prominently built for searching, which uses indexing mechanism. They use Lucene index in the back. So so let's say that we have a normal three-tier application, and there are three new requirements. You have indexing, you have APIs to be built because other applications want to integrate, and you also want to implement caching. Okay, so caching basically is to facilitate search again, but there will be certain information which which you will be retrieving on a frequent basis. So those things will go inside caching. Of course, you can store it in indexes as indexes, or in the indexing engines, but the best practice is to go in and keep it in caching. So maybe let me go out of the slide and move this, and I'll remove caching to keep it very simple. Okay, let's keep it flexible. I do not want to confuse you guys. So let's say that we are having indexing for searching. Okay, so in a normal nutshell, I'll go back to this slot again. So it is expected that as a full stack developer, this is also your focus, that you will have to start working on other levels. So this is what I'm talking about landscape too. When it comes to searching, we cannot tell that it's the responsibility of the database team. So there are these tools that you'll be able to find, and you will have to add it to your own toolkit. So this is what you should be behind. I know it's difficult to be aware about all these things, but I can already see a lot of friends from the room are already active in LinkedIn. You nowadays information is available everywhere. So make use of those information. Reach out to your alumni if needed. Reach out to your mentors, whoever is your mentors. Try to make yourself aware of these different kind of tools. Even if it is one or two, it's going to make you stand out during the interviews, and it's going to help you. So this can be very extensive. Like now we are talking about two different features, APIs and indexing. Of course, APIs can be implemented using the frameworks that are available over here, but for indexing you need a different tool altogether. So there may be several other use cases which might pop up, which you as a full stack developer will deal. It's not about only the front end and middle end. It's also about the other layers and other properties of the application that you will have to think through. uh, Moving ahead, so let's assume that we have built an application together with a front end, middle end, and a back end, and also with API and indexing. So we'll be pushing this into the source code, version control, Tortoise or GitHub, whatever your like. Whatever is your favorite. And I'm talking about full stack responsibilities in the industry to make reference. So what happens is our responsibility does not stop here. So once you have the application code, you will also have to use multiple tools to resolve your dependency. So let's go back here. So if you want indexing, you need Elasticsearch. For that Elasticsearch, you need some installation package, right? And once you install the Elasticsearch server, you need to communicate. For, let's say we are writing a Java based middle end, okay, or a Node.js based middle end using TypeScript. Okay, so if you want to communicate with the Solar or the OpenSearch, you will need certain API libraries to connect to those engines, right? So those are dependencies that for your application. So every application will have its dependency when it comes to full stack. So it's also our responsibility to do dependency resolution, build and deploy. So there are several tools in this layer too. So you can facilitate build through Ant, Maven, Gradle, NPM, PNPM, and other build tools in the market. So I've used all these, so I've listed these things. And also for deployment, you have different servers available. JavaScript server-side servers and .NET based and JVM based servers. So as a full stack developer, it's not just the front end development and the middle end development. It's also how you're going to build it, what are the different features you're going to build it, how you are going to bundle your application, and how you're going to deliver it. And that's when the operational folks will carry it forward, and that's where the handover happened. So in a DevOps team, so everything is DevOps now. Trust me, guys, DevOps is everywhere. DevOps is nothing but a full stack developer having some operational knowledge with some operational tools. So operational folks having some development knowledge who majorly uses operational tools. So that's a separate topic altogether. We can keep talking about it, but um, this is the place. Once you build it and you deploy it in your local and test it, and that's where you hand it over to the operational team to actually release the product. Okay, so full stack development is not just learning one technology in this particular list. So it's about thinking as a whole, how you're going to build the application, how they are going to talk to each other, how different components are going to talk to each other, how you're going to bundle it, how you're going to build it and hand it over to someone. So full stack is a very good way of thinking, I would say, because Previously, 10 years ago, you had separate front end developers, you had separate middle end developers, you had separate back end managers who were installing and managing just databases. But as competition increased, and as people started getting bored of their work they were doing, they started learning other technologies, and that's what gave birth to full stack. Full stack is a way of thinking, if you ask me. It's not a framework or a particular approach, but it's just a way of thinking. So if you are into application development or web development, try to think about the whole picture. Even remove the APIs and indexing from here. If you start thinking about it, start thinking about from this is what I want to say. Try from your ideation, implementation, testing, building, delivering, and releasing it. So this is what the landscape is about. And full stack helps you to focus on all this. And as a full stack developer, it's essential that you have this complete picture in mind. Of course, this is a very basic representation of what a full stack application could be, but you'll be able to find more complicated use cases nowadays. Like I mentioned, you will be able to find architectures of Netflix, LinkedIn, and multiple other major platforms online. So we can break it up together if you have any specific requests, but that's not the target today. So with that in mind, I guess we are done with full stack. I just wanted to give the complete picture on where should be your focus or how you should see full stack, rather than diving inside a specific technology. But if you have any questions with specific to any particular layer or technology, you can let me know. If I can answer it right away, I'll answer it. Probably if it would take time, then probably the next time when we meet. Any questions, guys? Uh, I guess I'm done with full stack. We can move ahead if there are no questions. So I'll open the Menti if you want to ask any questions, or I'll also keep an eye on the chat if you want to ask any questions. Guys, ask questions. Yeah, yeah, Alex. So we have 25 minutes. I guess we are on time. I'll probably take 10 more minutes for cloud. Guys, one more minute. Any questions? Or we can come back to
Sir,
it again. Yeah, yeah.
sir, I have a question.
Please,
Like,
please, Alex.
sir, everyone choosing full stack as a career. How can we
Okay.
stand out uniquely from them?
Very nice question, actually. But I'll can I answer this in the last? Keep a tab on it. I'll answer it in the last because I have a section about it.
Sure.
Okay. Okay. I'll keep moving, guys. So the next slide, I'll go into the presentation mode already. So when it comes to full stack, or when it comes to me, I always ask this interview question to whoever I ask, even if it's experienced or non-experienced. I By now I hope you have idea about some web development or even static web development. You host a HTML page in some server and serve it. Yeah, yeah. So my question will be, if you're able to, no matter what framework or what technology you learn, try to understand what's happening under the hood or behind below the code that you're writing. I'll always ask that when you fire a request from the browser, how it's reaching your controller and how it's reaching your database and how the response is served back to the user. And you can go as deep as possible, including the network layer, how the packets of information are transferred. It's all to what level you want to understand. Does it make sense to to gain an understanding of in that much of a detailed and specific way? Yes, it matters, because uh, another underrated aspect of an engineer, okay, listen carefully. So I'm referring to the word engineer. Is engineers not only build solutions for problem, but they also try to find out problems. So debugging is a very underrated skill. And debugging is not, no, not everyone is comfortable with debugging. So if you know how it works under the hood means, like in a car, under the hood, how the engine works, that's the reference we make. So if you are able to explain in a detailed way, or if you at least know for yourself how it's working behind the screen, you will be able to know when a problem occurs, where it could be the problem. And these are the things that we expect in interview. Uh, it's called non-theoretical learning. Also, I can put it up in this way. There can be many ways you can call this, but when it let's take oops concept, object-oriented concepts, for example. You can literally relate your object-oriented concepts to your real-life activities. That's an 1 hour session again of its own. But don't try to be theoretical. Try to get into the root of it and try to understand. Uh, you know, have fun. I know how college life is. Have fun. Uh, you don't need much time to understand this if you ask me. Like if you spend 1 hour once in a while, not even daily, and if you have the interest, and now you have information all around the internet, you have good YouTube mentors and good Udemy courses available, and you have good documentation too on all these technologies. So get under it, try to understand the concept behind it, and this is one major suggestion that I wanted to give. Maybe if you want, we can do a deep dive in certain technologies later point, but not today. I'll keep moving, guys. So I'll skip these questions on full stack. We had it. Let's try to have journey to cloud. What I wanted to show in terms of cloud is I want to show the difference between what cloud and on-premise is, or what was the past, or how it is even currently. So, for example, we'll start with these three definitions. I hope you are already aware of these definitions. Do you know what a platform as a service or a software as a service? I guess there is a mistake. Software as a service, platform as a service, and infrastructure as a service. Uh, do you guys already know this? Just yes or no is more than enough because I can talk accordingly. Yeah, okay. I'll just move on, but I'll not give the definition at this moment. Let me try to make sense. So if you take my company, for example, where I am working, okay, so let's keep on-premise for as a focus now. So in the previous slides, let's assume that we built an application which had front end, middle end, and back end, which needed database and stuff, and you also need a server to host that file, right? So to host all this, if you see this block over here, how can I get the pointer? Laser pointer. Can you see? Yeah, yeah. Okay, so if you see, I have a server machine where I can host. I need an indexing. I need a database. I need a file storage to store my files. Okay, ignore the pink boxes, all the other things. Okay, so consider only these four boxes. So in Bosch, where I'm working, if I want to do this, there are two ways. Of course, I can do it in cloud, but if I want to do it on premise, there are already teams who are providing this as a service. So there is a team who ready-madely gives me a server. There is a team who ready-madely gives me a database. So that's why I have mentioned provided as internal service. So on like 10 years, 15 years ago, when cloud was still in its infancy, uh, on-premise data centers were the thing, and data centers were providing nothing but this. So separate teams, individual teams, like how in our college we have different departments, we also have departments in companies, and each of these departments will be responsible for providing each of these services. Okay, so this is how it will work. For example, there is like I mentioned, there is a specific team providing each services. Let me not reiterate it again. So this is how on-premise works. uh, for me this is also partly cloud. For me this is enough. This is what cloud offers. But as days progressed, what happened is they took over this, and this is the definition that I want to give before going towards cloud. If you see server is a machine. So machine is something as a building block, is an infrastructure component. So that is provided as infrastructure as a service. And when it comes to database, of course, database can be provided as platform as a service, but when it comes to specific databases, so if you take Amazon Web Services or any probable cloud provider, you can already see these MySQL servers ready-madely available. Yeah, so they will provide you these services installed in it already. The softwares will be installed in them, and they'll you just need to pay for them for the license. So this is software as a service, and platform as a service is again, it's not containerization. Let There is a problem with this slide. Excuse me. It's actually this arrow. So when it comes to Kubernetes and Docker, you can also take infrastructure and you can install Kubernetes in a server machine, but they also provide service, as in they already create a machine, install Kubernetes in it, and they give you the service. So they manage all the Kubernetes oriented or Docker oriented aspects. So that's what cloud is about. So these are the three different types of services. And if you see here in my organization, let's take, we are still doing on-premise. These are done by different departments, but still they are different types of services that are provided in on-premise. But when it goes to cloud, these are the different types of services provided by an external service provider. That's where AWS, Google Cloud, and Azure comes into picture. So if you see, it's the same diagram. It's the same diagram, but they add few more layers on top of it. Okay, so how they do it? They have data centers all over the world. They have data centers all over the world. Let me also get the pointer. If you see here, this is a new block over here, hundreds of such services. So they provide a lot of different services. If you want to do machine learning and AI, they have specific platforms installed. They have specific large language models available. So that's what makes these cloud more prominent for startup companies, also for bigger companies, because you don't need to have a data center of your own to manage all these things. If you take a big enterprise like Bosch, they can afford to have their own data center. But when it comes to startups, you can just pay for what someone is offering. You don't need to have your own data center, and that's the concept, or that's what cloud enables. Of course, it enables a lot of other things too, but let's not focus on that. They have multiple data centers, hence they increase the scalability and resilience. Like in terms of war or disaster, they have multiple data centers. So these are all properties of cloud, I would say. The outline, I would not discuss much about it. Uh, when it's full stack development, think cloud native, because cloud and full stack goes hand in hand. Uh, so I would not do a deep dive on this at this moment because we are running out of time. But what I want to show is how on-premise works and how it is structured as cloud. And if you see here, I do not want to go to the link as well at this moment. So this is how cloud is. It's the same as on-premise, but it's offered in a different way so that there are different target audience to it. So how I would suggest you to approach cloud. So you have separate certifications for cloud. Good place is to start with the fundamentals. You can start even today. There is no prerequisite on when to start learning cloud. But if you are targeting to be a full stack developer, you can also start developing and deploying your application. So even if it is a simple web application, don't go for cloud solutions which offer I forgot the name actually. So you can just upload the HTML page and they'll just simply give a web experience. Don't go for that kind of simple solutions. Try to develop your separate full stack application, deploy it in your local machine, then create an account in any of these major cloud providers, upload your application, try to make others access the application. That's how you do it. And you can, if you're focusing on full stack development, it's a good place to start with the developer version of any cloud vendor. All the other things are specific things. Data science, if you're focusing on data science, later at a point, once you master data science and machine learning, you can see how cloud enables you. Because when you are into AI and machine learning, the setting up the environment, the learning environment only is too tedious. You'll need a lot of resources. And, like cloud providers like these simplify those kind of things. So learn it the hard way and then go for the easier way, I would say. So to start with, go for full-fledged full stack development, and then try to link your studies, try to deploy the application in cloud, try to see if you can. So what these developer certifications do is They try to give you certain APIs or SDKs that you can create cloud components through your programming language. So that's what they give. Uh, uh, Maybe it's a title for talking deeper about it at a later point, but this is what I wanted to share. If you want to start learning cloud, I'll move ahead on this section because we just have 12 minutes. Approaching interviews, I have few things that I have noted down. Maybe let me go to the next slide and then come back to this. So, guys, engineers toolkit, like I mentioned, you have to start building on your toolkit right away, even if it is a normal JavaScript library that you know added to your toolkit. And when you add it to your toolkit, you should be able to tell why this is used, how this is used, and where this could be used. That's very essential for any engineer, because you cannot simply try to solve a problem with the programming language where there are better choices available out there. So always when you learn, try to have this habit of asking these questions and trying to get under the root of how the things are working and add it to your toolkit. And preparing your engineer's toolkit and appearing for interviews are two different things. Your toolkit is going to travel with you for longer. Preparing for interview is a different thing altogether. Of course, your toolkit will help you in interviews, but these are two different things that I would like to emphasize on, because this is something that we are missing. And at least from this perspective, of course, you do it, but we do it unknowingly. But when you know about the concept that you can build your own toolkit, then you start thinking and seeing things in a different way. The second thing is for interviews, is form. Form is very important, guys. I'll tell you how. It's similar to how any sports person prepares for their World Cup or anything. If you take the Indian cricket team, they try to build their form, and they call it peaking of form. They try to, be at their highest form when the actual tournament is arriving, and it is actually a thing. So it's called conditioning too. Uh, in terms of interviews, try to practice and prepare more. And form matters. For me personally, it took 23 interviews to get my first offer letter. I hope, I sincerely pray it's not the case for you guys. I know it will not be, but for me, I was struggling personally to find my form. Certain friends find the form in one or two interviews. Certain find it in the first one. So the more you practice before, it helps you on the day of interview. And these are the two, you know uh, usual tips. These are two. The first two are the two usual tips. The other four are something that I have realized too. So storyline. So if you, what is a storyline? So for example, if you take this presentation, I had a storyline. So I had a storyline. This is my storyline. I want to take you through what it is like to join in working, and how full stack can be linked into the landscape, and how on-premise was. So I have a storyline. I have a structure. So in a similar way, prepare a storyline for your self intro. Self introduction is the most important, because take more time. Okay, so whenever I interact with colleagues from our college, so I have been part of mock interviews. So the problem I find is that they cut short their self introduction. They tell about their schooling, they tell about their college, they tell about their skill set, and that's it. I cannot connect with you. There are two ways an interviewer can connect with you. One thing is through your resume, which we'll talk about later. The second thing is the self intro. The self intro helps me connect with you as an interviewer. What I am looking forward is to connect with you as a person and understand whether he'll fit into my team, whether I can trust him as a person. Because based on this 30 minutes of interaction, I'm gonna trust you with the next 5 or 6 years of you being part of my team. So a short self introduction will never work. So have a storyline. I can give more tips about storyline, but as of now, uh, this is the only point that I can give, and I'll like to stop it at that point. I can give more tips for storyline, but that's also a topic for discussion in the future. uh, uh, the next one is articulation. The second, this is the other thing that interviewers look for. If you are able to express what you know properly, So it doesn't matter if you know a minimal thing, like even let's say that you know only HTML. Let's keep it that way. And if you're able to explain to me that what you know about HTML, that's what I'm looking for. That's what is called articulation. ஸோ இன்னொருத்தங்களுக்கு சொல்லி கொடுக்கறது தான் இன்னொரு articulation. So how we when we were at college, we did a lot of this. It did help. So we started teaching our friends exam apo, before exams, after exams, we started teaching. So try to have that interaction between you guys. uh, so articulation is much important. So storyline, articulation, and specific and unambiguous resume. So specific and unambiguous. Now, so let's say that someone had put J2W as part of their resume. J2W is such a wide topic. What is your favorite part of it, or what is your strength about it? So don't be simply mentioning as full stack, or don't simply mention it as full stack. Try to be more specific. So that's why it's essential that you have to build your toolkit. You have to really understand what's going under, so that you know the bits and pieces. Even so, if you take, for example, if you take, what is the example I can talk about? If you take full stack, for example, let's take full stack for example. I'll put one. I'll mention only I know front end framework if I know front end frameworks, and even in front end frameworks, I'll mention only Vue. So try to be more specific on the resume. Don't be more generic. And this is what I've always found, because see, guys, the times have changed. You have AI. You AI can generate your resume. Just need to feed it with the right information. Make use of those tools. Try not see. Make a copy of the resume of your friends. Not a problem at all. But fine tune it to defining who you are. Because the first thing, even before the self intro, is this is what the resume. The interviewer gets a hold of your resume and tries to understand. Okay, this person. Okay, this is what all this person is about. That's the first impression. And the second thing is the storyline I mentioned. So these two are the main things. If you're able to nail this, you will clear the interview. Because uh, on coming back to the storyline, you have to take you through the entire journey, like from your college, from your schooling to college, how you started thinking, how you decided that this is what is your favorite topic and what you like about the topic. Like it's about sharing your history with the particular interviewer. So we'll work on that later, and probably that could be another topic we can discuss. The last topic is motivation. So guys, this I find a bit problematic with, especially or mostly all the newbies or even experienced colleagues. So we forget that who we are and what graduating in engineering means. um, See, how much time do we have? We have 4 minutes exactly, so I'll keep it short. So guys, if you take engineers, there is this element of curiosity. We are always driven by how this works, what what it is. We are always curious. We need to find, you're always curious to find about something. So this curiosity dies. I know we are very desperate to get the jobs, we need to support our family and stuff like that, but no matter what happens in life, don't allow this curiosity to die over. So catch hold of this curiosity. uh, uh, Chase your job, get placed. You need to get a job, be desperate about it, there's nothing wrong about it. But don't let this curiosity die, because when you let this curiosity die, you lose the complete picture of it. And you find yourself without motivation. So try to be curious. It's okay to be wrong, it's okay to be mistaken. That's one thing. The second thing is, apart from studies, apart from the knowledge that you gain through the syllabus, there are also few life lessons that engineering gives you. It's about, when you prepare for an exam 2 days before or 2 months before, you're able to crack it. So you are having this high capacity to focus. And I noted a particular word for me. So what it is called? No, I don't have it. So you have this, high tendency to focus and break down things. You are able to see. I remember us, our friends studying papers 2 days or 3 days before the exam and still clearing it. I'm not trying to advocate that that's the best approach, but what I'm trying to see is a bigger picture, that you're all capable. When you get a degree, more than the knowledge you gain, it teaches a lot of life lessons. It teaches you resilience. It teaches you the importance of focus, and the importance, and that you're capable of breaking down complex things and solving it. So never forget it, because times are changing. Like I mentioned, we cannot approach the market as in I want to be developer or a tester or a particular thing. You will always find yourself moving on to different fields on different points in the landscape of IT. For me, I started as a web developer, so now I'm working with DevOps and also certain other things, which we don't have time to talk about today. So keep yourself open, try to be brave, and remember this point about what engineering will teach you at the end of graduation. You will, because you have to feel confident, because you are already breaking down a lot of things. Exams are the difficult things, you're already cracking it. So I feel you can feel proud about it and have some motivation, and that will help in the interview too, that you can be confident you can be confident about yourself. So any questions, guys? I had many few more points, but I guess I conveyed what I wanted to. So if you have any questions, then probably Menti is the place. Can you give a roadmap to clear AWS cloud? Yeah, I can give. Not at this moment. I can answer this question to Anisha, or maybe you can get in touch with me in LinkedIn. I can help you out. Um, guys, I mean, in short, cloud practitioner, you have good courses in YouTube and Udemy. You can start with it. It's more pretty much straightforward, I would say. Um, uh, Also, develop the habit of reading documentations. When you learn a technology, go to the official site, read the documentation. It really helps you, and it really helps you. Trust me. I can help you further if you need any help. Whoever had asked the question, so please reach out to me, or maybe through Inisha. Any other questions, guys? If not, idea of DevOps and SecOps. Okay. Will it be suitable? Okay, so that's a good question too, but there is a bit of disconnect in that question. So in the chat, there is a question. I wish to know about the idea of DevOps and SecOps. Will it be usable? Will it be a suitable option to start career as fresher in security roles? Okay, security roles is something that you can look later, but when you start your career, you will either be in development or operational, for sure. In the and I see machine learning, AI, and other developments in technology as part of full stack, because when you're developing a large language model, you are developing large language models with specific stack of technologies. You develop the large language models, but end of the day your application has to utilize those large language models through APIs or whatever means. So as a developer, you will definitely, if you start your life as full stack developer, there will be a point where you will have to interact with this large language model to integrate with ML. So think in terms of integrating to multiple technologies. And if you ask me, uh, all these technologies, you can spend 3 months or 4 months learning it. You'll always find ways of learning the other thing. So that's the reason I told you to keep open. But with DevOps, even when you start your career as operational, there will be a time where you will be needed to learn development oriented items. So once this complete package, uh, once you get a complete overview, and that's where security comes. So security comes a bit on top. It's applicable on developmental areas and also operational areas. So no matter what area you focus, you'll be able to dive into security rules, Samantha. So even when it comes to DevOps, you talk about how operationally you are conducting the project. or the product or the solution. So security sits on top of all these. So it's good to have a view of security on everything. So even if you're developing, you can start thinking about how you will encrypt. And folks, there is one important topic that every interviewer will test uh, regarding encryption, SSL encryption, how the symmetric and asymmetric keys work. If you are able to explain this to someone, you can get into any company that you want to. It's a very complex topic just because the way it works, not because how it is. It's very easy to learn, but when it comes to explaining it to others, that's where you can train your articulation skills. So for example, so with this SSL, why I wanted to talk about it, it's also a perspective of security where you can implement it within the application and also from the operational level. So security sits on top. That's an example for you guys. Anything else, guys? I'm done for the day. So if you don't have anything, then we are already overdue by 3 minutes. So if there is nothing, then I'll wish you a great rest of the day and weekend. So until next time, then we'll meet. We'll meet you guys with a different topic.
Thank you.
Guys, is that it? Can I drop off, or do you have any specific topics?
So we can close the call, sir.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.